Right, it's almost Christmas. We've got a week to go. I'm taking a week off work, because I haven't had a week off for over a year. And I want to try and get this car wrapped up, mostly wrapped up. 98% of the way there I'll be happy with. As I've said before, not a lot of time to do anything at the moment because obviously working a lot, and by the time I get home in the evening it's dark, I've got no lights down here, etc. So yeah, today's job is hopefully going to be to get the windscreen sorted. Right, so obviously the windscreen surround itself in the car is absolutely fine. When we pulled the old windscreen out there was very little corrosion on it, so that's just had a lick of paint and that's good to go. Got our windscreen, excuse me, with a brand new rubber seal on it. We took it out because the seal was cracked in the corners, and you know, if you're pulling the car apart it makes sense to do that as well. So we've put a new seal on it. That's gone on okay, but obviously getting the windscreen back in situ is a bit of a struggle. Trying to do it on your own is damn near impossible. You need someone on this side pushing the glass in and someone on the inside actually working the rubber over the inside lip on here. Whether you do it with a piece of greasy string, or some people do it with screwdrivers, not really recommended, or you know, plastic tools, whatever. You know, I don't know how easy it's going to be. I've heard differing reports. Some people say it's an absolute nightmare, it takes them hours. Other people say they managed to get it in first time in half an hour. So, I don't know. Either way, wait for someone else to turn up and we'll give this a crack. We've got our doors back now. So these are come back from the workshop. So these are all good, ready to go back on. As I said before, no point in putting them on now because as you can see, the amount of space I've got, the second I put the doors on, it restricts anything I can do inside the car. So I'm going to get inside of the car finished first of all. Mostly it's done. I need to have a look at the reverse switch because the reverse lights aren't coming on when you select reverse. So that's probably the switch on the side of the gearbox. I need to have a look at that. The dashboard needs to be tightened in a little bit more as well. There's a few nuts missing in there. It's a little bit wibbly wobbly, so I need to get that sorted. And also I'm going to put these chrome side step cover things on, whatever they're called, down here. 3 rivets in each of those. So we'll get them back on as well. And there's a few bits and bobs under the bonnet I've got to do as well. I've still got to sort out an expansion tank for the radiator. I'm not going to buy one, I'm just going to use a bottle I've got that I've tested inside. It's absolutely fine, bit of boiling water in it, no problem. So we'll put an expansion bottle in it. Air filters need to go back on. I need to secure this squirter bottle. There's a few other bits and bobs under the bonnet, so get them wrapped up this week. But if we can get the windscreen in now, and we can start to tick off the other small jobs as we go on throughout this week, and then fingers crossed, I don't know whether I'm going to manage it or not, but by Christmas I'm hoping that this can be pretty much finished. And then I can get all the documentation sorted for it, get it insured, get it back on the road again. Can't remember if I said last time or not. In case I didn't, I have had an insurance quote through for this. It was cheaper than I thought. £55 a year. 55 quid a year, I mean that's ludicrously cheap. And being tax and MOT exempt, I think in the future you're going to see a lot more people switching over to classic cars just for cost of motoring. As fuel becomes more expensive, electricity becomes expensive. Electric cars, as we know, cost an absolute arm and a leg at the moment. Most people get them on finance, they never actually own them, and that idea terrifies me. So yeah, I think a lot of people in the future are going to make the switch over to classics for that reason. So that's what I'd like to see. Or even people doing electric conversions on classics. How hard can it be? Maybe that's what we'll do in the future with this. I've heard of the E-Spit before, which is a Spitfire with an electric motor in it. So I don't know. If anything, I want to put a whack and grey V8 in it, or at least a straight 6. But one thing at a time. Well, rather predictably, the windscreen has cracked. It already had a little chip on the corner, and that is just, as soon as you put any pressure on it, obviously you have to put pressure against the windscreen to try and get in, and it just went whack, literally within 30 seconds of us trying it. So, no dice. So I think what I'll do now, because it is a fiddly bastard job, we tried having a little play with this in if we can get this one actually in, just as a test fitting, and it's such a swine to do. Part of the problem with it is there's no room down here, between the dash and that lip that you need to get it over, there's just no room. There's just enough room to get the edge of the rubber in. And of course, as soon as you've got the windscreen down flat against this and you're trying to push it down, it's really hard to see what's going on in down there. And it's just a fucking nightmare, to be completely honest, excuse my language. So I think I'll find someone to actually fit the windscreen for me properly, because I don't need that sort of misery in my life, I'll be honest. It's stressful. And I don't need it. So we'll do a few other little jobs. We'll get all the other jobs tied down while we're here. So we've got the little chrome side steps in now. They just rivet onto the sides. So that's one more nice little touch done. So I think now what I'll do is I will get the rear number plate on. Just because it's a case of drilling 2 holes and putting some bolts through, so I can manage that. So we'll get the rear number plate on. The front one attaches to the front bumper. I need to actually secure that front bumper slightly better. So I'm going to leave that on for a minute until I get the plastic overrider covers on the front and get the bonnet secured. Get the bumper secured first of all. And then we'll tinker and we'll do a few other bits and bobs inside until I can be, for as much as I can be arsed. Of course, it's a few days till Christmas now, so what I really want to do is just go inside, play a game and drink booze. But I'm trying to fight the urge to not do that and to do something productive. Easier said than done. And we got a number plate on. A lot of police around here. Looks right, doesn't it? Car finally has some kind of identity. Alright, back into the bonnet. So another couple of jobs ticked off the list. Firstly, our squirter bottle here. We've just put a rivet through some seatbelt webbing. Attached that to the bulkhead, so we ain't going anywhere. And we've done a similar thing down here with our expansion bottle. Again, that's riveted onto webbing and that is on there rock hard. And again, I've tested this bottle with boiling water in it. It's absolutely fine, so that will work perfectly well as an overflow for the radiator. Also, we now have seat belts as well. So recoilers down the bottom, buckle on the top, anchor point down there, and then obviously the actual release mechanism over on that side. There are 2 different types of seat belt. This one is the older type, and that one is the newer type. But they both work, so that's obviously all we're worried about. Not the seatbelts really matter in a car of this age. If you have an accident in this kind of car, you're dead. Seatbelts are going to keep you in the car, but the car is probably going to fold into 12 different pieces. These cars were made of a time before safety was really in mind. Not like they are now, with obviously impact protection and airbags all over the place and sensors and warnings. But that's why you buy a car this age, isn't it? It's a more visceral driving experience. And I'm going to drive it carefully. I'm not going to be hurtling around the country lanes in this thing. God knows what speed, he says confidently. But no, they're all in, all bolted down. They all work. So one more job off the list. Right, back at it today. As you can tell, it's bloody freezing down here. But we've got a few jobs left to do now. I've taken a week off for Christmas, so my aim is to try and get this car done in that week. So some of the odd jobs, a few bits we've done, which I'll take you around and show you in a minute. So, first things first, one thing that's been annoying me for ages is the reverse lights. For some reason, they wouldn't work. Now, you'd say things like check the switch of the gearbox and, check the connectors, blah, blah, blah. But the simple fact is, with the car in reverse and with the ignition on, I get 12 volts at the leads for the reverse lamps. So how can you possibly have 12 volts at the lamps, but them not light? And of course I did all the usual testing, so I took the lamps out, put them into a different light cluster, they worked. I changed the bulb holders over, I know the bulb holders are crap on these, so I tried a different bulb holder. Even with 2 bits of wire pushed into the negative and the positive for the light and touching them onto the bulb, it still wouldn't light, even though there was 12 volts there. So it's the weirdest thing. I was running around the houses for the last 2 days. I've been inside the car, I've taken the tunnel cover off, I've had the gearbox switch out, I've rewired all that, and I was at a complete loss with it. It turns out that there are a pair of bullet connectors down inside the bonnet. I can't touch it just yet, and I'll explain why in a moment. But there's a pair of bullet connectors down inside the bonnet. They go from the gear stick down into the bonnet. These are 2 green wires onto 2 bullet connectors, and they come back. And those 2 bullet connectors were a little bit iffy. I gave them a twiddle basically, and the lights came on. So even though it was still showing 12 volts out the socket, they wouldn't light. I'm guessing it must be low ampage. I think there must have been just enough of a connection inside those bullets to allow it to show 12 volts, but not enough power once you put the bulb on. I don't know. Either way, the reverse lights now work. So all the lights in my clusters now work. The brake lights, indicators, tail lights, and the reverse lights, and obviously the number plate lights. So all the lights at the back are working, all the lights at the front are working. So the reason I can't open the bonnet for a second is because I've just hand painted in the little scuttle tray. There's a few bits on this that needed painting that I didn't quite get to when I was spraying it. One of them was the inside of the boot lid, which I've now just painted. Again, I've painted it by hand, so if you get up close you're going to see brush marks in it. That's cool, I'm fine with that. In an ideal world, obviously what I should have done is taken the boot off and sprayed it all differently, and sprayed the inside as well. However, because I've already painted the inside and chassis black, I didn't want to spray it. You get the idea. So I've brush painted the inside of the boot. I've brush painted the little channel that runs along the boot, so hence why the boot is open at the moment. And I've painted the scuttle tray on the inside of the bonnet. So we're not going to touch that for a moment. Leave that well alone. Yeah. Okay, down at the workshop again today, just getting a few bits and bobs done. So we're painting the other 2 wheels. So if you remember my other videos, first 2 wheels I had done, and I just left the other 2 because I couldn't be bothered at the time. So now I obviously have to do them. So we've got 1, we've got 2, we've got 3, and we've got 4. So these haven't had any kind of major overhaul. They haven't been acid dipped or anything like that. They've literally just been wire brushed off first of all, just to get the worst of it off. Then run around with some sandpaper, just to flatten it back and key the paint. Undercoated or primed in a grey primer, and then given a silver top coat. You know, they're old steelies. I'm not going to go to town on them. They're not alloys, you know. So there's only so much time I'm willing to spend on them. The tyres are coming off anyway, because as you can see, they're all cracked. Shame, because they're Michelins, but they are all cracked. They've been on the car for years. They're no good. So no point masking the tyres off. You may as well just spray around them because they're coming off anyway. So we're going to leave those ones to dry through, and while they're doing that, we're going to pay attention to our wheel nuts. So wheel nuts obviously are chrome plated, and as you can see, they have now gone to shit. I'm also missing one as well, but luckily my friend has some locking wheel nuts he bought for a Mini years ago, and looking at them, they look to be the same. So I'm going to take them back and try them, and if that's the case, I got a pack of 4 locking wheel nuts, which then leaves me 3 nuts per wheel. So first thing I'm going to do is just clean off the plastic rings. So we just stick them in some acetone, give them a quick soak, rub them down with a bit of Brillo cloth, and then get the worst of the grease off them. We'll then give those a quick zap of black, just, you know, why not? And the wheel nuts themselves, obviously I'm not going to worry about getting them chrome plated. All I'm going to do is just sand them down and then spray them silver, just so they look a bit more presentable, and that's it. If you remember on my previous video, the centre caps I've already done. They're already sprayed in white. So yeah, with some brand new tyres on them and some nice shiny wheel nuts, I think they're going to look pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead, get these cleaned up, get these sanded down, resprayed, and then we'll see how they look. There we go. Not perfect, but pretty good. So we've got our wheel nuts all sprayed up. You know, they're not perfect. They're just sprayed in a generic Volkswagen silver. But they're a lot better than they were. We've got our locking wheel nuts as well. Friends had these in a box for years, so I'm going to steal them. So they're not going to look too untoward when you see them face on, but you know, obviously they are different. So I wasn't worried about putting locking wheel nuts on, but I'm a wheel nut short. And these are actually reasonably expensive to buy, strangely enough. I've got the little plastic discs to one side, so they can go back on. Obviously my wheel covers I've done already, so they're good to go. Last small jobs to do. I'm going to make a strap for the battery, because at the moment the battery just sits in the little box, and obviously the batteries need to be retained, hence them jumping out and shorting or doing something terrible. So I've just got some 40mm seatbelt webbing from the workshop and a couple of buckles, and then we'll rivet these onto the bulkhead and put a couple of clips around the battery just to stop it bouncing around. Obviously the wheels at the moment are down at the workshop, so the car is up on bricks. I was going to take the wheels down to the tyre shop today to get new tyres on them, but I want to leave them 24 hours to let the paint go off properly before some poor tyre jockey sticks his hand in them and finds a squidgy bit. So we're not going to do that for the time being. I'll do those tomorrow. Today I'm just going to get all those little odd jobs done that I can, but time is getting away from me now, so we're almost done. Excuse the change of video device, my camera's steaming up again because I leave it down the side here and it doesn't like it, so I'm using my phone. So the audio is not as good, but the picture is probably about the same. So yeah, we're sort of getting to that point now where it's almost finished, and I never thought I'd find the day of hear myself saying it, but we are getting to the point now where it's almost finished. The big thing holding me back is the windscreen, which I've already spoke about. It's cracked, I need a new one. I had a quote from Auto Glass today, which is our windscreens replacement fixer people in the UK. £460 they wanted to put the windscreen in. No, not paying £460 for a windscreen. That's about $600–700 no. No. But what I do, I'm trying to find someone who will supply the glass and fit it as well, whereas if I buy the glass and I find someone to fit it, it's on me if the glass breaks during the fitting, whereas if I can find a company to supply the windscreen and fit it as well, if they crack it, it's on them. So, I've had a crack at it, I don't want to do it again, it's a ball ache. It's the only job, that I will outsource to someone else during this entire project. So, I'm pretty happy with that. You've got to be happy, right? All the painting and everything I've done myself, obviously, and I've done it all in this garage. So it's it's a bit of a feat. It's been a bit of a nightmare, but there we go. We're almost at the end now. It's the middle of winter right now. We're 3 days off Christmas. Originally I wanted to have it done by summer. That would have given me 4 months to do the entire project. So completely unrealistic for someone who works full time in a different job like I do. So that was unrealistic from the start. Then I wanted to get it done by Christmas. And to be fair, it is going to be done by Christmas, bar the windscreen and the legalities. So I need to send a form off as well to get this thing MOT and tax exempt, which I'm going to hopefully do tomorrow. So yeah, new tyres on tomorrow, and a few other odd jobs, like I said, the battery strap and a few other little odd jobs I've got to do. But barring the windscreen, I think we're done. I need to go back over the car and have a really good, go back over all the nuts and bolts and make sure I'm happy with everything. But I can't think of anything else other than bleeding the brakes, which I'll do while I've got the wheels off. I can't think of anything else that's stopping me drive it. And that's a really strange thought. I've said this before, you get so caught up in a project that sometimes you actually forget that the end goal is a car you can drive. It's been this thing for so long. This thing sat down the side of the house that I've been out pulling spanners on and painting and taking bits off and fixing, and you forget that it's a thing. You're doing it for a reason. It's a car that I'm going to drive. And the first time I sit in this car and turn the engine on and take it out on the street is going to be the weirdest thing ever, because I've done all the work on it. So it's going to be terrifying, absolutely terrifying. But I know the work I've done is solid and good, and if it's not, it's on me. There's nothing stopping me, of course, taking it to a garage and actually getting someone to give it a proper once over. But what are they going to tell me I don't already know? I've built the car from the ground up. I know infinitely more about this car than anyone else. So yeah, it's going to be very strange. For its first drive, its first shakedown, it's going to be very, very strange. But I am looking forward to it. Whether I'll do that over the winter or not, I don't know. Maybe wait for a sunny day, because obviously it's got no roof on it. I have got the roof, well, I may put it on, I don't know yet. It may even turn into my daily driver. I don't know. I'm going to wait and see what it's like to drive. I may wait until spring and go out and take it out in the warm, but
That's 3 months away, so I don't think I will. I'm impatient. I think more likely, as soon as it's ready and it's legal and I've got it and I'm insured on it, I'm taking it out. Very tentatively at first, obviously. Once around the block, make sure everything works. Drives, pulls in a straight line, stops in a straight line. That's all I'm really worried about. The steering's okay, the brakes are okay. If that's okay, I can tinker with the rest. And of course the engine doesn't explode or a wheel falls off. That would be pretty crap. But it's not gonna. It's gonna be good. So anyway, enough of the waffle. I think the next video will be the last video. That will be essentially the car finished, the doors on, have a look around it, make sure everything, it's got two of everything and it works, and probably taking it out for a drive. So stay tuned for that. I'm looking forward to it, and for anyone who's followed these videos thus far, I realise we're up to like 40 odd videos now, we're saying ridiculous. So if you have managed to stay with me for this far, congratulations. Thank you, I do appreciate it. And yeah, look forward to the next video where hopefully we'll get this thing out on the road. It's a nice feeling, Not just that I've done the work myself and it's my first ever project, but also you're bringing something back from the grave. Most people would have looked at that car and scrapped it. That wet, windy day when I brought it in here for the first time and it was full of holes, and I thought, oh God, what have I done? This is a basket case, it's got to go. But I brought that car back from the dead. Otherwise it would have gone into the scrapyard, it'd be crushed and you'd never see it again. And the car's got history. You know, the car's 3 years older than I am. The car is 44 years old. So, how old am I? Yes. So the car's got history. If cars could talk, I'd love to know where this car has been. For all I know, it's been around the world. I don't know. You know, how many adventures has it been on? How many different people have been in it? It's you know, I wish it could talk so it could tell me. But so to bring it back from the grave is a cool thing. I'm quite happy about that. So, yeah. Anyway, I'll shut up and let you get on with your day. And next time you see me, hopefully we'll have something resembling a full car that is roadworthy and road legal. Fingers crossed.